Right. You were able to channel your passion into something else, which was good because you were able to use that energy, but you were no longer able to stay as physically active as you would like.
Yeah.
So that ultimately led to weight gain and body dysmorphia, perhaps body image issues. Mm-hmm. You mentioned off the air to me that you had been on Ozempic. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that experience a little bit.
Oh man, it goes way past Ozempic, because right when I had gotten into my first engineering job, I had big girl money and I got talked into getting a liposuction surgery, and it was a doctor that all the bottle service girls went to, all the like very classically pretty girls, they had gone to this doctor. So I instantly was like, I need this. This is what I want.
That was the solution to being skinny again without having to exercise.
Exactly. And at that point, it's so silly because I wasn't even heavy. Like if I look back to me at that point, I'd be like, that girl is so skinny and so fit. But my mental perception of it was so just distorted that I was like, I need this to be hot and to fit in and to like feel good about myself. So I did the surgery and I came out and I felt like my stomach looked like wrong.
And you were how old at the time when you did this surgery, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I was 22, so I was pretty young.
Okay,
this was like
so
a while ago.
Objectively, you were probably still pretty skinny. You were 22 years old.
Yeah.
And you were having this surgery done because you wanted to feel a certain way about your body. You were probably surrounded by a bunch of other young, beautiful women. And
yeah. Well, and at that point, I had moved from New Mexico to Scottsdale. I don't know if you've ever been to Scottsdale, but everyone there looks perfect.
Right.
But there's a lot of plastic surgery. There's a lot of just, perfect looking people. And so when I moved there, I felt out of place. And I'm like, what can I do to fit in? Like, I want to feel confident when I go out. Like, this is the answer. This is the solution to my problems.
so you did the tummy tuck surgery? Is that what it was? Or
no, we have a couple more things before we get to that.
so what was the surgery that you did then?
So it was liposuction.
Okay, so you had liposuction done.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it was so sketchy. I was awake for the whole thing. I watched them numb me, put big, long straws under my skin, and I got to watch all the fat sucked out of my stomach. It's graphic. But I did that. I left there and I was feeling like it didn't look right. It looked like they had taken too much out. Like my skin looked ripply. It looked wrong. And
this is a legit doctor that you went to, by the way.
Supposedly. Yeah, it's where everyone went. It was, I didn't go thinking he was sketchy.
Right.
After my experience, I was like, this guy is sketchy. Why does everyone go to him? Because I kept telling the office, I was like, I'm not healing right. Something's wrong. And about 6 months later, I sent them photos and I was like, my stomach looks messed up. Like, I feel even worse than I did before. I can't wear a bikini because my skin literally was rippling. So then the place was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, we'll do a revision for free. And I was like, yeah, you better. I went in for the revision. All they did was take out more fat and it got worse. I probably could have had a lawsuit against these people, but I was like young, 22, didn't have like that much money, didn't know how to go about it. So then I was like, okay, maybe I just need to eat healthy. Maybe this is my like dinger to start working out.
Yeah. Were you eating unhealthy at the time?
I mean, I don't think I've ever eaten like super unhealthy, but my body just, I don't know. My body gains weight really easily. It's not like I was cutting out fast food or anything. I have always had kind of a problem with portion size. So I feel like I was eating healthy, but like eating probably like 3 or 4 portions.
Just too much.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love to cook. I would make steak, veggies, potatoes, whatever I wanted. And I'd be like, this is healthy. And then I would eat like 2 steaks, 2 potatoes. Like I was just eating a bunch. And then in my head, I was like, I'm healthy. So why am I gaining weight?
Okay. So you had liposuction. Twice.
Yeah.
And then you were experiencing some obviously ongoing body image issues with that, and then diet, and then you were considering, well, do I go back to exercise now? Then you had some other procedures done?
Yeah. So then I kept gaining weight, and then the rippling on my stomach started getting, as I started getting fat, like the fat was not taken out evenly or whatever. And my stomach was so bumpy that I wore a one piece for years. Like I was like, wow, great. Now I'm even less confident than I was before.
Just because you were so self-conscious about how your stomach looked.
Yeah.
Even though you were probably skinny.
I was skinny, but people, like, it was very obvious that I had gotten lipo done. I don't know if you've ever seen lipo tummy, but I had that.
Okay.
If you haven't, Google it.
I could look it up, I'm sure, and I'll know exactly what that.
Yeah. So then from there, I went to a botched doctor in Beverly Hills. I ended up paying a shit ton of money. So this was a very expensive mistake.
Because none of this is covered by any kind of insurance, of course.
No.
This is all cosmetic surgery.
Yeah. So I went to a specialist because I'm like, enough is enough. And at this point, I was like, botched surgery, gaining more weight. I was like, nothing.
Still probably not exercising.
Not exercising. Still haven't returned to exercising.
At this time.
At this time, correct.
In the story.
Yes. And then I got a very extremely invasive procedure. They basically had to make an incision that stretched from my hip to my hip. They pulled up all my skin pretty much to my chest, right under my chest. And they had to flatten out all of the skin on the inside. And then they stretched it down and took off about 6 inches of additional skin that was just there. So I will say, I do feel more confident now. I do have a scar on my stomach, which I've mentally just had to be like, it's fine. Because if I could give one piece of advice to anyone, it's just don't get the surgeries to begin with. They're not worth it. If I would have never done any of this, I probably could have gotten results that I wanted in 6 months with the right trainer. I could have paid a trainer to get me to where I wanted to look safely with my injuries. And instead I went through years and years and years of surgeries and fixing it and this and that. And so I am happy with my body now. I have really learned to love myself. And now that kind of leads me to where I am with you. I started working out with you, and this is probably the first time in, I don't even know how many years it's been. It's been over 10 years that I'm losing weight consistently in a healthy way.
Right. So you had the liposuction, you had the tummy tuck, or what's the name of that procedure?
It was a tummy tuck.
Tummy tuck. Mm-hmm. And then you also mentioned that you were on Ozempic, which I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
so that was another chapter after all the surgeries where you were still heavier than you'd like to be, and were turning to another tool to try and help you lose weight.
Yeah. So then rewind a year before I met you and started training with you, I got on Ozempic.
And this was when you were how old? So this all started when you were like 22, all these surgeries.
Yeah.
And this went on through like a lot of your 20s?
I started Ozempic at 28.
Okay, so it had been years then you were struggling with this, the botched surgeries, the resurgeries, the new surgeries, the weight gain, the struggling with body image, the eating. Even though you were eating healthy, your portion control was just off.
Yeah. And before I started Ozempic, I did try. At points, I did try to get gym memberships. It wasn't like I was completely being like, no, I can't do this. I would get gym memberships, not really use them. I got a trainer before, but I had an unlimited plan, so I didn't really feel like I was held that accountable to go to my sessions. You know, I didn't have a set date time that I had to be somewhere. It was like you just let them know ahead of time and you kind of just show up. Which,
you paid a fee a month at a time and then showed up whenever you wanted to, as opposed to having like paid sessions and a set appointment.
Yeah. So when I wasn't maybe pushing myself to go as much as I should have. And since they were group training sessions, they weren't focused on my personal goals. I did see progress when I went to them. But I think I really needed a training plan that was specialized to just me. Like, I am so different than anyone else with my health goals and my problems and stuff. So a cookie cutter workout plan wasn't doing it for me. Like, I just needed something for just me.